What's up, everybody? Let me introduce today Alana Joanne, a singer-songwriter from Melbourne, Australia. Can you tell us a few words about yourself?
Sure. Hello, and thank you for having me. So I am primarily a vocalist and lyricist. I started singing when I was about 9 or 10 years old in a little choir at school, and then my passion for singing itself sort of stemmed from there. And writing was something that I used to do when I was a kid to kind of help me when I was going through some hard times. And I kind of always sort of structured them like songs because I listened to music all of the time. So that's sort of where they both kind of started.
So you are a composer, singer, songwriter, and you create all your material by yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a lyricist because I don't really play an instrument at a level that I can create the music myself. I do have a team of producers that I work with, depending on the song, that do help me um, create the sound to my music, but everything is sort of run by me. It's still my own creation. It's more of a team effort, which I'm kind of proud of because I know um, all great songs were created by more than one person. And I think that there is a beauty in like working with other people to bring that vision to life. So I really do enjoy that. Um, yeah, but it's all my idea. It's my creation. It's what I want, and I get final say on everything. So yeah.
And what was your first song? What was it about?
So I released an EP, which was 4 tracks. So I didn't actually release a single with that.
I'm
I didn't
sorry, you
release a single till
started
after.
you started right off with the EP. So it was straight series,
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
So I released a 4 track EP, and then like 6 months later, I released a single. So the EP was a really interesting journey for me writing that because um, I was married at the time, which I'm not anymore. And I was married at the time, going through some pretty serious stuff. And so one of the songs was really personal. It was about my own kind of like inner mental turmoil that I was having with myself. Which that song was called Phoenix because it kind of is about, you know, being in a dark place and telling yourself you're not going to let yourself go to that dark place and kind of like rising up from that and like being above it, kind of like Phoenix rising from the ashes. Then another song on there was called How Do We Know, and that song was all of my it was the first song I wrote for the EP, and it was a way to express my own inner frustration with society. It touches on subjects such as domestic violence, racism, terrorism, homelessness, and just about society and how, okay, so we know these problems exist, but how do we know what to do about it? Yeah, how do we know what to do about it? How do we know where to go from here, kind of thing? So that's what that song was about. And then there was Too Soon, which I wrote about my friend who passed when I was younger. And then there was, which is my favorite song on the EP, was called Invisible. So that was the hardest one to record because I wrote that when I was in Turkey, and this was in 2017. And around that time, ISIS was a really big thing, and there was a lot of stuff going on in Syria, and so there are a lot of Syrian refugees. And when I was there in Istanbul, I saw Syrian children literally homeless, sleeping on park benches on the street. They had no shoes on. Like, I'm in Melbourne and we have a lot of homeless people here. But I didn't, this was like nothing else I'd ever seen before. It was like a whole nother level.
Tell me a few words about Melbourne for people who've never been there. What is it famous for? Maybe something unique about this city?
Um, Melbourne is really beautiful. It's very cold. most of the time. Like even in summer, it still rains. So if you kind of been to England and experienced their nicer weather, it's kind of like that, I guess. It's very busy. It's there are many cultures living here, because many people come from different countries to work, to travel, to study. Coffee is very big important thing here. It's just very. I'm actually not born in Melbourne. I'm actually from another state in Australia. I've only been here 6 years. There is definitely, yeah, there's definitely an artistic culture here, but I don't know. I kind of feel like that is everywhere in Australia. I just think Melbourne is known for it because there are so many people and because they actually have the facilities to like facilitate artists a lot more than other cities in Australia. Yeah, if you go to Queensland, like certain cities there, like they're quite artistic as well. I mean, you've got musicians here, you've got actors, dancers, visual artists, graphic designers, street art. You've got a lot of different types of creative people here, and we are a really big creative community.
What inspires you to create music? What situations, maybe some people or atmosphere? How do you tune yourself into creation?
Um, what motivates me to do it is a couple of things. So one being that I am an artistic and creative person in general, and so in order to be sane, I need to create something. I need to express myself. So I usually do that through singing and through writing. The second one is that I understood that I have a unique story about my life that I can share with other people, that can help other people. And so that's really the main thing that drives me to want to tell my truth through music, because I know that it will help other people.
Maybe you can share this story with us.
The things that I went through when I was younger, I had a bit of a tough time growing up with like my dad not always being there and not always making the right decisions. And some experiences were a little bit traumatic. I actually have a really amazing relationship with my dad now. I feel very lucky about that. But obviously, when I was younger, it was different. My mum, made the right choices when she needed to make them, and that was fine. I I kind of had to spend a lot of time helping raise like my younger siblings as well. And I think losing my best friend at a very young age also kind of like added to a lot of the stuff that was going on at the time. It was just a lot of different things, and I think I put that into a lot of the writing I was doing at the time, which I've now sort of put that in my music. So I think for me, saying that it's important to be able to help other people through my music, it's knowing that not everybody has a perfect home life and not everyone has a perfect story, and it's just about reminding them that they're not alone, and I understand them. And I think if you have at least one person in the world that understands you, then it's okay.
Okay, on your Instagram account, you say that you're an advocate for DV survivors. Can you tell us a little bit about this? What does it mean?
So DV stands for domestic violence. This is something that I am very passionate about. Helping women who are going through it or have been through it, but also on just educating people, both men and women, on how to be better and how to get help before these situations happen. I've experienced it through my childhood and through past relationships, my marriage and stuff. And as someone who has watched her loved ones go through it, been through it myself, I feel like I kind of feel like a responsibility to share my story and my knowledge and my experience with other people, because there could be people who are suffering who maybe don't have the confidence to speak up about it, and then if they hear me talk about it, maybe that will instill confidence in them. I did a charity event in February this year, like a charity gala for an organisation, where I spoke and did a performance, which was for an organization that helps prevent domestic violence against women and their children. So this is something that I am I take very seriously, and I'm very serious about. And it was only sort of this year that I kind of decided that I wanted to speak up a little bit more. I know I talk about it in my music, but I feel like as an individual, as a person, I think that music or not, I still have an opportunity to share my story. So that's what that means.
There is obviously something about the purple color, right, that you love, because if you go to your Instagram account, everything's purple.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Actually, usually my hair from about here down is usually purple, but I've been a bit lazy since isolation, and it's kind of faded. It's a lot faded. It just looks blonde now. But yeah, it was my favorite color as a kid, and I will never forget when my mum let me paint all my walls purple. And the color itself actually represents like really, really positive, important things. And I guess those things that the color represents are kind of similar to like my values as a person, and what I feel is part of what makes me as an artist. So I kind of just have always associated that color with a part of who I am. So when I started to brand myself more as an artist, I paid attention to color because it is very important, and people notice. You have noticed. So, I think it's being an artist, a musician, is not just about the music. It's about the story you're telling. It's about who you're telling it to and why you're telling it. It's about actually connecting with your fans on a real level. And it's also about the way you brand yourself, present yourself, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you interact, and who you actually are as a person. Everything about music is about the real you. You can create a fancy name all you want and dress in really like strange and weird outfits, which is amazing because you're expressing yourself and you're an artist. Do it. Like, I'm all for it. But I think the core of who you are as a person is will define what kind of artist you really are. It's not like acting. You can't really pretend. You can't just, you're not reading a script or film. You are representing yourself as a human being.
When you are on stage and when you are off stage, is it a different person or is it just one person?
It's one person.
The way you express yourself while singing or while on stage is what you really are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm on stage and I speak in between songs or anything I say, that's me. I would say that even if I was alone in a room. Me singing and what I'm singing about is really me. I could have a song where it's a slow ballad and it's about a broken heart or a traumatic experience, or I could have an upbeat song that's about dancing in a club. But every song I write comes from my heart and comes from my own experience, whether it's a happy experience or it's a negative experience. And also, if I'm on stage and I'm in all these funky clothes, like that's just an extension of me expressing myself. Let's say I called myself, I don't know, I can't think of anything right now, but if I gave myself a really weird name that had nothing to do with my real name, my behavior is still me. I'm still who I am. Someone like Lady Gaga, she performs and she puts on this amazing show, but at the end of the day, she is herself, whether she's on stage or off stage, whether she's having an interview or she's screaming at her fans. Like, she's the same person. It's just the only difference is what she's wearing and the show she's putting on, But what she does and who her actions are and the way she treats people under the name Lady Gaga is the same as how she would treat people under her real name, Stephanie. And that's my point. Is I think it's music is should come from who you really are.
Okay. Tell me please about your latest work. What are you doing like right now?
So on the 20th of March, I released my first single for this year called Undress Me. So that's sort of a bit happier than the stuff I was releasing last year, which I think is a really cool experience to be able to express yourself in both a really raw, like heartbroken kind of way, and then a really fun and upbeat kind of way. So that song, there will be a remix version of that song being released soon. which I'm really excited about because it's like it is a whole fresh version of the song that no one's heard before. And then I have like 2 or 3 collaborations. So I'm featured on some other artists' work, which has been really fun for me to kind of take a step back and not be so full on with the project. And then I have 3 singles ready, sort of to be recorded in the studio. So all the demos are done. So they'll be getting recorded soon and mixed and mastered. And then I'll be announcing when they're ready.
Okay, hopefully these hard times will be over, and we would like to wish you success and wish you good fortune with your music and with your new connections. Thank you for joining us. We'll be in touch, and we will obviously put the links below our video so everybody can take a look at your work and to listen to your music.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely talking to you and sharing my experiences, and I wish you all the best. And good luck in isolation. Try not to go too crazy.
Thank you.
Bright eyes and they're wide open when he lies so close to me. These skies so old and noble, they haven't forgotten about me.
You can see the detailed information about our guests and the projects in the description section of this video. If you like our project and you want to support it, please share our page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. If you're interested in joining the project, you can send me a direct message. And thank you for watching.